The story begins with a convict from the legendary Shinobi village of Iwagakure, who is unable to be killed by his executioners, no matter how many ways they try. The woman Sagiri, keeping his record, seems confused as to why a hollow man with no reason to live would resist capture and execution so strongly. Eventually, she takes it upon herself to grant his death wish, and executioner Sagiri prepares to decapitate the young shinobi. After witnessing him expertly dodge her attacks, she states that she believes his wife is his true reason for living. Despite him previously stating the opposite on the record, Sagiri thinks back on his memories with her. The reason he was captured was because his father-in-law, the chief of Iwagakure, would not allow him to leave the village with his daughter in search of a peaceful life. Sagiri then gives him a chance to live that life when she unveils an official pardon from the Shogun for all his crimes. To receive it, he must head to Shinsenkyo, or Paradise, and retrieve the immortality-granting Elixir of Life, a mission nobody has ever returned from in One Piece. Tempted by the chance to live a peaceful life with his wife, Gabimaru accepts. After exhibiting his ninjutsu to take out the guards, he and Sagiri head to Edo, where dozens of blindfolded death row criminals are gathered before the shogunate. After hearing their objective, they are shown the only survivor from the island's last expedition. Then, after being told to reduce their numbers, a bloodbath ensues. Gabimaru isn't keen on killing needlessly, but when his attempts to reason fail, the hollow within him emerges, and he tears through criminals like scrap paper, staining the beach with blood. 10 criminals remain for the expedition, each assigned a Yamada Asaemon executioner to keep them in line. Apparently, the chief of Iwagakure had acquired an elixir long ago that granted immortality. Upon arriving on the island, Gabimaru is attacked by another criminal. After tying his hands together, he begins what some might call a fight, others a slaughter. Sagiri demands he follow the rules and keep his hands bound. Almost no time has passed since landing, and already many are dead. Gabimaru nearly adds Sagiri to that list while fighting her. Torn between the brutal teachings of his chief and the gentle influence of his wife, Gabimaru ultimately refuses to kill Sagiri. She witnesses his inner struggle and agrees to overlook his crimes if he promises to stay true to his emotions. Across the island, strange insects and creatures attack the intruders. Gabimaru uses his ninjutsu to save Sagiri. Yuzuriha, a kunoichi criminal, joins them, having already killed her assigned partner. Meanwhile, Sagiri collapses from poison. When she wakes, the group eats together and shares what they've learned. The island is filled with Buddhist and Taoist imagery, familiar plant life, and monsters that strangely lack reproductive organs. Later, Genji advises Sagiri to return home, claiming her limitations as a woman prevent her from fulfilling her role. Elsewhere, Tenza believes Nurugai deserves a second chance and attempts to return her to the shogunate ship, only to find it destroyed. Attacked by sea creatures, Nurugai is ready to die to atone for her past, but Tenza convinces her to fight, and they survive together. That night, Gabimaru quietly checks on Sagiri's health and reassures her of her strength. The next morning, renewed with confidence, Sagiri declares she will live by her own choices. Genji disagrees, and moments later, he is fatally wounded by an enemy. Accepting Sagiri fully, he entrusts her with his sword before dying. A massive giant Rokurota appears, consuming both humans and damage alike. Gabimaru battles it head-on, while Sagiri, using the burning forest and Genji's blade, decapitates the monster in a single clean strike, free of fear or hesitation. Elsewhere, bandit leader Chobe Aza and his brother Aza Toma confront bizarre creatures. The brothers later stumble upon two beings who shift genders before their eyes. Even after Chobe Aza lands a killing blow, the creature regenerates and throws them into a pit to rot. Back with the main group, a strange girl named Mei watches from afar. Gabimaru chases her, while Yuzuriha handles the tree guarding her. The tree, Hoko, offers knowledge in exchange for Mei's return. He explains that the island is truly Shinsenkyo, ruled by godlike beings called the Tensen. Meanwhile, Tenza's master sacrifices himself to protect Nurugai, leaving Tenza to face a Tensen alone. Accepting death, he repays his master's kindness with his final stand. Later, Gabimaru ventures toward Horai alone, facing the same Tensen that killed Tenza. Despite breaking its neck and setting it ablaze, it continues fighting. After an exhausting battle, the creature transforms into a massive flower, until Mei saves Gabimaru using her power. Gabimaru later woke up near Mei, confronted by Fuchi and Tamiya. Weak from battle, he suggests cooperation. Mei explains Tao, though the island clearly needs better education. Across the island, survivors are attacked by Doshi. Chobei Aza grows stronger through battle, developing Tao and killing one, though he begins transforming into something else. Mei is revealed to be vital to the Tensen's mastery of Tao due to her yin energy. The group fights back, and with Mei's help, Gabimaru unlocks the balance of strong and weak Tao. Meanwhile, Sagiri, Yuzuriha, and Nurugai reach Horai and face another Tensen. Combining their skills, Sagiri destroys its tanden, killing it permanently. Tenza's master returns, now powerful enough to face a Tensen, ultimately ending its 1,000-year existence. Elsewhere, Gabimaru awakens confused, his Tao incomplete and mind strained. 3 days into the expedition, a new Yamada Asaemon, Shugan, is dispatched to monitor the survivors. The sole survivor to make it back from Shinsenkyo finds himself seated before shogunate officials, but his account is carefully filtered. He skips over the worst of it, leaving out any mention of the colossal monster head he encountered. The officials, unsatisfied with the lack of answers, select Yamada Asaemon Shugan to lead a follow-up mission and announce that Iwagakure Shinobi will be joining the effort. Back on the island itself, tensions within the Tensen castle are already running high. Sagiri is determined to track down Gabimaru. Things deteriorate fast when Gabimaru's group crosses paths with Aza Chobei. The fight is brutal from the first exchange, but something is clearly wrong. Every wound Gabimaru inflicts closes almost instantly, and Mei suspects his Tao is the problem. Pushed to the edge, Gabimaru makes a desperate call. He ignites his own body, willing to burn them both. His logic is simple and cold. He has nothing left to lose, whereas Chobei still has his brother. Chobei snaps, hurling himself into a berserker rage. He lashes out blindly at Gabimaru, who can only fall back on his fire ninjutsu to survive. Tuma, watching his brother become something unrecognizable, tries to reach him and pays for it with a wound. It's Mei who ends it. The child opens a sinkhole beneath Chobei. The effort shifts her back into her adult form. When the two groups reunite outside the castle, they find Gabimaru unconscious. Sagiri uses her own Tao to stabilize him, and the group retreats into a nearby cave to recover. Chobei, against all odds, survives the sinkhole. He tears through a pack of mindless Soshin without breaking a sweat, but then Rien appears, wanting to know whether he was the one who killed Mudan. Elsewhere, Gabimaru comes to a hard conclusion. Raw Tao isn't enough to bring down the Tensen. He pulls in Gantetsusai, Toma, Shion, and Nurugai and pushes them all through intensive training. During the sessions, he stumbles onto something useful. With enough focus, he can turn a person's own Tao back against them. Rien, meanwhile, has figured out what makes Chobei tick. He's fused Tao with flower to supercharge his healing. She tests him to his absolute limit, and he destroys what he thinks is her, only for her to reappear untouched. It was a clone. She subdues him without effort, and when he wakes, she explains in her female form that she intends to study him through Bochu Jutsu. Back with the survivors, Mei opens up. She tells Sigiri and Yuzuriha about her own past. They're at the same time. A second expedition is already at sea. 4 Yamada Asaemons, the seasoned Shugen, the young and unranked Kiyomaru, the formidable instructor Isuzu and Jiku, 4 Iwagakure ninja commanders, and 50 subordinates. The groups share a ship, but not a goal. Shugen and the Asaemons are there to eliminate the criminals. The Iwagakure are there specifically for Gabimaru. They carry a death sentence with his name on it. The second expedition makes landfall and immediately runs into a Soshin welcome party. Shugan steps forward and beats them all barehanded using Dao, then falls apart the moment he lays eyes on what's left of Aizen. While he grieves, a Doshi unleashes a Manchin horde on the group. The Asaemons and ninja carve through them together, while Shugan handles the Doshi personally and extracts information from him the hard way. Back with the first group, Shion has taken charge and is quietly bracing for the new arrival's intentions. Mei provides the critical detail. The only vessels the sea monsters won't attack are the Horai ships. The elixir itself is inside a laboratory in Rentan Palace. Shion splits the group into two teams based on their Dao attributes. One focused on securing an escape route, the other on retrieving the elixir. Mei goes with them. The elixir team, Gabimaru, Yuzuriha, Sagiri, and Mei, slips into the fortress under cover of darkness. Their destination is the palace, housing a massive Waitanhua flower that feeds on Dao harvested from human sacrifices. Gabimaru reaches out with his Dao to scan the area and immediately senses something wrong. Ran is already there waiting. He knew they were coming. He dissected Toma and read their intentions directly. He also has news. The Tensen plan to perform the Hekiji Fukusho ritual, the rite of just consumption, using high-quality human Dao to produce tan that won't turn people into plants. The no-combat strategy is already dead. Gabimaru and Yuzuriha prepare to fight, while Sigiri and Mei push toward the elixir. But Mei warns them they're not even in Rentan Palace. Ran restructured the whole building before they arrived. The fight against Ran goes badly from the start. Direct attacks do almost nothing. Gabimaru shifts strategy, softening his Dao to blend with Ran's far stronger output, drawing on techniques he absorbed from Nurugai, Sagiri, Shion. It works just enough, while Ran's attention is locked on Gabimaru. Yuzuriha drives her blade through him. But as she moves to finish it, flowers begin erupting from his body. Ran shifts into his Kishikai state. The tables turn fast. By the time the dust settles, both Gabimaru and Yuzuriha are on the ground, barely alive. At Bochu Palace, a different battle is unfolding. Gantetsusai, Toma, and Fuchi find themselves facing Shobei alongside Jufa and Daofa. Shobei offers Toma a place with the Tensen. Toma steps forward, as if accepting. Then he and Shobei pivot and cut Daofa apart in one coordinated strike. It doesn't stick. The Tensen regenerate. The Aza brothers go after Jufa next, fighting in near-perfect sync. Meanwhile, Daofa switches to her feminine form to throw Gantetsusai and Fuchi off balance. It works. Her Dao is invisible to them, and her attacks land clean while theirs find nothing. The tide only shifts when Gantetsusai catches a partial blindness in one eye and suddenly realizes he can sense her Dao that way. So he hooks out his good eye himself. Nearly blind, soaked in his own blood, he charges her alone. Even then, it takes Fuchi grabbing Taofa to give Gantetsusai the opening to slice through her tendon. A flashback fills in Jufa and Taofa's history, the long years training together, growing together, consuming other life forms including human Hoko to sustain themselves. That bond becomes a weapon. They merge into a single Kishikai entity. Shobei throws his enhanced abilities at it and comes up short. Fuchi talks him and Gantetsusai into working together. Shugan's group discovers the scattered remains of fallen Asaemons and makes a vow: the sages and the criminals both die. Using intel pulled from the Doshi interrogation, they commandeer a group of Soshin and ride them straight toward Horai. The combined Kishikai presses its attack, spores, tentacles, everything. But Shobei uses his Tensen-level power to shield the group. The breakthrough comes when Toma grabs Fuchi and lets him swing, metal and earth Tao working together, and the slash splits the Kishikai open. It shifts into a defensive form. Gantetsusai answers with a near-suicidal gatecleaver strike that splits the fusion entirely, separating Jufa and Daofa again. Both Tensen are destroyed inside Rentan Palace. Guifa lays out the full picture for Sigiri. The plan was never just the island. Arian wants to release swarms of butterflies carrying a biological starter into Wakoku that would convert humans into Watanwa flowers on a mass scale. Those flowers would merge into the Benko Godbeast, becoming the perfect source of tan. Humans, it turns out, are far more efficient than the Hoko ever were. Shion's fight against Jujin, the androgynous Tensen who killed Tenza, he has cut it apart over 100 times, grinding down its regeneration, but he's nearly spent himself in the process. Both of them are running on fumes. A flashback surfaces. Shion, born blind, traveling with his mother, earning money by letting adults swing wooden swords at him while he dodged using Deo. Back in the present, Jujin attempts a fake Kishikai shift to bluff Shion into thinking it still has something left. Shion sees straight through it and runs his sword through its tendon. Jujin retaliates with tendrils through Shion's body. Shion doesn't move. He tells a reluctant Nurugai to go find the others. Nurugai leaves, then comes back, grabs him, and tells him plainly Tenza chose to die for them both, and throwing his own life away now would make that mean nothing. Shion lets himself be convinced. They leave Jujin to die and go to find the rest of their group. Gabimaru and Yuzuriha are still on the floor of Ran's restructured palace, both barely functional. Gabimaru thinks of Yui, his wife, his reason for all of this. He pulls out Mudan's Kishikai stinger and drives it into his arm, triggering Flower Dao regeneration. His body knits itself back together. The problem remains. His Fire Dao does nothing against Ran's Water Dao. He tells Yuzuriha it has to be her Earth Dao that finishes this. They go back in, stretching the fight out deliberately, burning through technique after technique until Ran's Dao reserves finally give out. His Kishikai form fractures. Gabimaru launches Yuzuriha skyward to dodge Ran's last barrage of spikes, and from above she drives through his tandon. Ran disintegrates. Yuzuriha lands and realizes how badly she's actually wounded. She tells Gabimaru to go. She sits down quietly and apologizes to her sister, who died before her, for not making it. They're at the ritual circle. Ran's bottle shatters, a signal that all members of Lord Tensen have been defeated. Guifa moves to report to Rien. Then the whole palace shudders. Shugan has arrived. His Monshin-led forces breach the outer wall. The first expedition survivors scatter toward the sluice gates, knowing they need at least 5 people to operate one of the boats. Shugan orders the ninja to kill anyone they find, except the Asaemons, but the Iwagakure have their own list. One young female ninja intends to take Gabimaru's life and claim his title as the next Gabimaru the Hollow. Rien receives the full report from Guifa. Every Tensen gone, the ritual failed, a new human force incoming. He orders the doshi to push back and accelerates preparations to sail for the mainland. There the fighting that breaks out is three-way chaos, ninja against doshi, with the first expedition survivors caught in the middle. Sagiri and Mei get cornered by both sides at once. Then Yuzuriha walks back in, alive and moving like nothing happened, and pulls them out. What's left standing are the second expedition Asaemons, armed with execution orders for criminals who, as far as they know, never earned anything but death. They have no idea what the first group went through to still be breathing, and somewhere beneath the water, an underwater current carries Jujin's severed head through the dark all the way to the Banko, where it fuses and the Godbeast opens its eyes.